Hey everybody, it is an absolutely gorgeous October 20th out there. The sun is shining and it is as good a day as any to update everyone on the Strayboar Ukraine aid project. If you follow us on strayboar.ca, you'll see that the last big post was the lead up to the Ron James benefit gig at the Lunenburg Opera House. That month was so hectic and it was starting to get overwhelming. We were working on tickets, getting tickets ordered, selling tickets, promoting the show. Royce was making 2 knives to auction off on the night of. All of these projects were all coming to a head and things were really getting tight. And it was like all at once, the people in this community came together. Shelley Young from Moontown Market put together a welcome package for Ron. Had tasty cakes in it and some water bottles and candles and a handwritten note welcoming him to the town. Melissa Morrison, who's been one of our strongest supporters throughout the entire project, right from day one, she brought the blue and gold earrings that she and her kids have been working on as a project, and she's been selling them at all of her pop-up markets, Christmas fairs and stuff like that, all the way leading up to the show. She brought her stock of those, and they were all mounted on Strayboar cards, ready for sale for the night of. Carmen Yager, local goldsmith and jeweler herself, had the 4 pieces of Polish amber that we brought back last year, and she had mounted them all in pendants and were ready for auction that night. Arwen Falvey, a longtime friend of mine, a fellow Canadian Forces veteran and combat medic, served in Afghanistan. She came home and started up the Kaleidoscope soap company, donated all of her time and energy into making the blue and gold Ukraine soaps that we sold at all of our pop-ups, along with our t-shirts and that kind of thing. Scott Gabriel, another local veteran, former Kansoff operator, started a GoFundMe and biked across Newfoundland from one coast to the other. Biked across Newfoundland and took in over $1,000 in donations to put towards this cause. The entire Lunenburg community, whether they showed up at the show or passed on word of mouth or donated to the GoFundMes or purchased soaps or any of the things that we were selling, the Lunenburg community came out in force and showed exactly why I'm so proud to live here. The night of, Ron shows up, gets his welcome package from Shelley, and is touched, absolutely tickled pink. But that man was on that night. He felt the gravity of what we were trying to do, and he reciprocated. Man, the Lunenburg Opera House was completely sold out. The people coming through the door, their energy was brilliant. They were happy. I've never seen that many people in one place who were all happy. I didn't get one bad review out of the entire thing. Everybody had a good time. People were walking through the door and donating. Some people didn't even purchase things. They just donated straight up. It was magic. I wish I could describe better. I wish I had the words to describe how proud I am of this community. Ron was on his game. It was 2 hours. I have no idea how the man does it. I mean, he is a, best-selling author. He is an accomplished actor and one of Canada's greatest comedians. And he's been doing this since the 90s that I can remember. And he put on a 2-hour show. And I gotta say, it looked like a workout. Like it was amazing. It was so brilliant. Completely touched by it. Royce and I were surrounded by our friends and family afterward and walked down to the Knot Pub, downtown Lunenburg, welcome in with open arms, as always. Beautiful place. We sat in our booth. We looked at each other and said, where do we go from here? Where do we put this money? that it's going to make the most impact. And within a week, a former Kansoff operator that Royce used to work with comes to him. He's Ukrainian heritage himself, and he says, "Listen, dude, my cousin Oksana is a school teacher. She lives in Toronto, and she's been putting on these summer camps for kids since way before the war started. She'd put on a camp and take her summer, go back to Ukraine, and put on these summer camps for these children. And when the war kicked off, she didn't stop. She's like, yeah, there's a war on right now. All the more reason to put on a camp to help shield kids from the brutality of conflict." The word superhero doesn't even begin to describe. This woman is, and she'd never describe herself that way. She is so humble, and it humbles you to be in her presence. These children are being dropped off by Ukrainian service personnel. Their parents are going off to fight on the front line for Ukraine's independence. Oksana shoulders the responsibility of this, not lightly. How could you? For fear that some of these service people may not come back. Oksana provides a space that is separate from conflict, separate from war. In the Carpathian Mountains, she provides an umbrella of safety from human trafficking, which is rampant there right now in Eastern Europe. And she gives hope to people. I don't think you can put a price tag on hope. I have a hard time putting words to it, but she does not. She is very well spoken and a beautiful human being. And we've had several Zoom calls with her. I'll let her describe it in her own words. And you can see the passion that this woman has for this project. Anyway, take a watch.
How many children, like on average, how many children are you dealing with?
So last summer we started our summer camp. It was a pilot program, and we had about 55 kids.
Right.
10% of which were children of fallen defenders. And this time around, and then in the winter time, it was actually a time of a huge rotation of troops. So a lot of parents had come back from the front. So we lost about 10 kids. So we were around the 44 mark. But this summer we're now at 110. So
wow.
we've doubled our numbers. And I am now in conversation with several other organizations that have looked at what we've done, and they've now picked up the pace and they've picked up the baton, so to say, and have planned their own programs. There's 2 or 3 counselors that are coming to observe our program during our camp.
Amazing.
Which is awesome. This is what I want. I'm not hiding any of my ideas. Plus, most of my ideas are based on scouting principles, because I have been a Ukrainian scout since birth.
Right.
The campground itself has taken all risk factors into account. I like to put teenagers as much as possible into nature and into wilderness as possible. So there is a certain level of you're outside of your comfort zone, but you're also safe. And now I've been running camps for 15 years in Ukraine. So
wow.
Involving accredited psychologists into our program, accredited art therapists into our program. So as much as possible, we want to make sure that these children have sure footing beneath them.
Right.
As well, we're looking to expand our operations in September, and we're creating a partnership with Green Country English Language School. This is the largest network of English language schools that children are taught by native speakers in Ukraine.
Okay.
So they've already entered a verbal agreement with us, and come September, we're going to be signing contracts that children of fallen defenders will be receiving their education for free. Children who are of parents who are actively serving or are recovering. Something that we've never dealt with prior, but some of the children have actually survived direct artillery attack.
Yeah.
Some of their parents are actually POWs.
Oh my God.
Currently. So taking this information into account, I've had to also pivot and bring on other psychologists that will be running trainings just with our counselors for trauma support. And so we do a 4-day orientation period from July 1st to the 4th, where these trainings will be happening. They're happening in Lviv.
Also, I wanted to kind of comment as well with the trauma-based work that we're doing. We realized that being in nature, it was just something you had said earlier, but being in nature is one of those things that is a fundamental, I find, a fundamental kind of repair kit for people who've undergone trauma of that kind of. So
this year, actually, specifically, we have a 1-day hike to a historical location called Tustein, and it's this insane rock formation during medieval times was used as a fortress.
Oh, cool.
Been turned into an open air museum now. So the hike up to that area is really incredible. The views and the history. We try to enrich our children's, even cultural understanding as much as possible.
Right.
Not just about the therapies that are on offer at camp, but it's also the theme of this year is arts and culture of Ukraine. So we went all the way from Scythian times, so prehistoric, all the way to nowadays, and we ended off on a day that we spoke just about Ukraine's heroes and their concept of creation of heroes and cultural identity. And then also we have a whitewater rafting 2-day trip.
Oh, cool.
So they get to be out on the water. Our camp is actually situated on an escarpment, so they see the river at all times, and we're going to have swimming sessions. And so the program itself is really developed, and I'm quite proud of it.
When we mentioned what you were doing to Ron James, he was ecstatic about where the money was going to be going. I mean, we're not a huge organization. We're two dudes who
this is almost it.
This is it, and we're just trying to stitch the global community together. And I love the fact that you're helping service members and their children and their families.
Roman is veteran, and I have another cousin as well who served.
And Roman, he threw it out there immediately, and he carries a lot of weight as well. And I mean, immediately he's like, I've got this you might be interested in, if you're curious.
But yeah, we would, Strayboar and Ron James, Ron James for sure would love to post a $5,000 check if that's going to help at all. That would be fantastic.
That is music to my ears. We're very grateful. And it's coming at a very timely. So absolutely, this donation we're grateful for anything, and so I just want to let you both know that, and of course Ron James. We would love to see him. My parents are huge fans and have seen him. My parents, I think, saw him at a show, probably somewhere in the Kingston area. When I mentioned his name, they go, stars in their eyes. Thank you very kindly for considering us and being able to extend such a nice help.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. So proud of you and all of the people who are working with you. Hugs all around.
Yeah, one more reason I like Roman.
Hi, Oksana. You're doing great work in the Ukraine, and I was just so happy to lend a hand. My goodness, the world is in such a dire state of affairs, and here we are just coalescing with a collective in Little Lunenburg with Seth and Royce to lessen your load, so to speak, over there. You're doing great work. I look forward to meeting you someday in the future, and I'm just so pleased that every penny we raised is going to help the suffering in your native land. Keep the faith, darling. I look forward to meeting you someday soon.
Beautiful.
How's that? Thanks, buddy.